All right. So then we're going to be jumping into a bit of a discussion on freedom today. That's what we'll be talking about. But before we do that, let's take a look at what is happening on these streets, to say the least. Let's see here. All right. So, just give me a second, ladies and gentlemen. I'll go ahead and share my screen. And we'll go ahead and get looking at the price of. By the way, did you guys see what happened to Bitcoin yesterday? I think it was maybe around somewhere around 8:30, maybe 9. We had a massive pull. Well, not a bit of an exaggeration there, but we had a bit of a pullback, right? A dip in the price. But I think this is the second time that we have seen that. Whatever is causing that pattern to repeat itself, it'll be interesting to see what else happens as we go forward. Let me make sure I'm pulling up the right page here for you all. Just give me 1 second. All right. So before we even jump into it, ladies and gentlemen, just right away, okay, check out our friends, partners in freedom, BK Crypto. Check out some merch over there. Incredible designs, AI powered activity. Honestly, if you are not using AI in this day and age, man, what are you doing? Okay, what are you doing? Because the rest of us, excuse me, the rest of us are leaving you behind. Okay, so definitely check out BK Crypto, and yeah, I'm sure you find something you enjoy over there. Now let's push on to some Bitcoin here. We'll do some technical analysis on this, and then we'll jump right into some articles which I looked into this morning. I mean, I couldn't have planned this, any more ahead of time, because at this point in time, there are some things that there are some things that you have to. It has to really be by your feeling. It has to be natural instincts. Okay, you see the title of the show. You don't know what freedom is. Because you see, freedom is not something that is written on paper and given to you. Freedom is something that is given to you from above as you're born into this world. There is rules and guidelines that we put together as a society so that we can coexist. And that is not a problem. I think that that is great. Okay. Uh but we also have to stop lying to ourselves as a society, to be honest. And I think that America specifically is one of those societies where people have been coddled and coddled straight into manipulation. It is something that is, everyone really needs to pump the brakes and think about it. I'm not saying that I'm the one who knows the definition of freedom or that you know, I'm a free person as such. I mean, I'm sitting here. But I think that as a society, we need to know when it's time to take action or stand up for ourselves. That's what I'm pointing out over there. Okay. Because according to the US Constitution, we are land of the free and we are innocent until proven guilty. But I think if you've been watching the activities of the past few years, especially the crypto space, okay, I think all of you should assume yourself guilty criminals until the SEC or this other entity say otherwise. But before we jump into that, man, getting ahead of myself. Let's look at this Bitcoin chart here. Fired up this morning, ladies and gentlemen. My soul is on fire. Okay. And I like it there. It's fine. Um, Bitcoin currently trading at $42,002. Okay. Yesterday we saw this interesting massive candle that just ripped out of nowhere, touching 40K there. I was shook. At the time when this happened, I was in a Zoom call. I remember looking down at my iPad and I saw it and I was like, I was so confused that I just looked away. Okay. It's an interesting. It is so crazy how volatile Bitcoin can be. However, I want to point out something to you here. This is not the first time we're seeing this sort of zigzag activity. You can think of it as a spring, to be honest. All right. If we look back, as I say, look back. And you see that at this point in time here, we were climbing between 34,005 and up to about 38.4 there, right? We saw that we had that point where there is that slowdown. And most of the time, when you have that slowdown, things are just sort of looking stagnant, right? And that's when we see these big wicks, these massive candles of pullbacks. If we look at this one here, you see that we pull back from 37 to 35 3 there. We see it again here from 36.4 down to 34.5. So nothing unusual, to be honest. I think it's just something that the articles will write about it. Bitcoin erases all gains from the week, whatever. Gold has been erasing all the gains for a lifetime. I think that's something they should focus on. But anyway, let's move right along here, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, let's see who's in the he's out. If you can hear me, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in the house, please go ahead and drop it in the chat, drop something in the chat. Like the video for sure, right? And subscribe. Double O is still in Niger land, probably breathing the fresh air of the palm trees and all the other natural things that spring from I was going to say that spring from the motherland. There we go. Right. So I woke up this morning. I was just in my routine, trying to see what we're going to be looking at here, what we're going to be talking about. And I came across these two articles, which is what inspired that this topic which we're looking at here. And I just want to slow it down a little bit, okay? And I want to invite everyone to just slow down your mind here for a second. Just let's slow it down. Let's slow it down. Let's slow it down, and let's just analyze a few things. Because I think sometimes, as a society, we're just moving and moving and moving on, right? And painting over the other, painting over things and painting over things and painting over things without analyzing it. Okay, I can definitely concede that maybe some of us are over analyzing things. That's for sure. But I think when we look at these things, we have to look at where we are, the nation that we are, the group of people that we are, and the stories that are told to us as our guiding principles, right? Land of the free, freedom of speech, right? You're free from search and seizures, unreasonable search and seizures. Freedom to privacy, right? Your right to privacy. Privacy is a right, not an option. So, I know we hear people say things like, if you have nothing to hide, right? Then, well, if I have nothing to hide, it's also my right to hide nothing, right? So it should not be anyone's concern. So I think this idea of freedom from someone that was not even born in this country, right? I have experienced a different level of what may be called freedoms. And I'll tell you that freedom is unsafe, but it is not a bad thing, because the only way you can grow and learn and then put in systems to protect yourself and your own values is by having that free range to make mistakes. You have to be exposed to the risk. And that is what America does not allow people to do. That, I don't know if I would define it as freedom. It's a society constrained by numbers. I want you guys to slow down and think about that. We are a society constrained by numbers. Listen, the reason I'm putting these articles here, I'm going to come back to that society constrained by numbers things. Okay. The reason I'm putting this article over here is because, and I'm probably just going to do both of them at once, to be honest. And Bitcoin Shango in the house. This mic, brother. Does anybody know what is a good mic stand, man? I'm tired of this thing, man. I want to rip this thing off one day. It's too much. Too much passion right now. Like I said, my soul is on fire this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Bitcoin Shango in the house. What's up, champion? How are you feeling today? Right? Hey, let's go. So check this out. It says Tether freezes over 160 Ethereum wallets tied to OFAC sanctions list. I'm sure a bunch of other people are talking about this today. Um, Reactions from the crypto community have been mixed. It will be interesting that the reactions from the crypto community will be mixed, given that this is supposed to be the decentralized space. I remember this guy Ben back in the day. We interviewed him on our show. That was an old show. I think we're doing another show back then called Young and Successful. I'll have to find it and share this with you guys. If you have look up Yas on YouTube, Kenny and I had another channel before this one. But speaking with this guy way back then, he had everything correct. He just had it backwards because he was saying that Bitcoin was going to be captured, and we have to leave Bitcoin. The real decentralized space is over here on Ethereum and the metaverse and all these other things that are going on. I think that we must all try to remember that the whole reason why this crypto space started off in the first place was to solve certain types of problems. One of the problems on the top of that list is decentralization. I'm going to read this again. Tether freezes over 160 Ethereum wallets tied to OFAC sanctions. That sure as hell does not sound like decentralization to me. It does not sound like, it sounds like censorship for sure, right? Who even knows who these Tether guys are? And furthermore, OFAC is a public entity. Public servants, I'm telling you. So if you're going to be sanctioning these wallets, we as a public should know. You should publish these details. I don't want to have to go do FOIA requests or whatever and try to find the information. This is what we pay you for with our tax dollars. So they should do the... You know what? I'm going to stay on track here because something just crossed my mind. But maybe I'll, Lord have mercy. For one, I think that anyone who is in this crypto space, right, needs to seriously look at these things. If you're in the crypto space and you fully believe in it, and you really think that this is decentralized, I don't know what approach people are taking to these things now. But I think that if you look at this thing, especially in a space where there is no clear regulations yet, we don't know what law has been broken here. We don't know who is involved. We don't know why OFAC is doing this. And why does USDT or Tether have the authority to freeze anyone's wallets? That brings you right back to the protests in Canada. That brings you right back to Kanye West having his accounts frozen. These are the things that we are trying to solve as a people. These are the solutions that Bitcoin is bringing about. But, I guess you could, don't get me wrong. Especially recently, I've been back in the crypto space, okay? Because I'm like, well, listen, gains is gains. If you call yourself an investor, you have to find the opportunity and make maximum money. And I'm going to do that. But from a principle standpoint, from a standpoint of shaping and growing our society, this is extremely problematic and it needs to be addressed. And I think that it will not be addressed by a bunch of politicians who are being paid and have their own personal interests. It has to be addressed by us, the everyday people in society. We are the ones who have to address this thing. So to be expecting the same people that we all say we do not trust to have our best interests ahead of theirs is asinine. It does not work. Okay. I'm just sharing my thoughts here, folks. Let me know in the comments. If I'm way off, I may be off kilter. I may be way off kilter. But I'm open to hearing your side of it. You see what I'm saying? I'm great. Everyone, have a good day. Hey, Bitcoin Shango, that's what's up. Hey, let me slow down here for a bit, man. Because Shango says the amazing thing is how quickly people started crying to mommy government and daddy banks when they got a splash of the core reality in their crutches. Yeah. Yes. Listen, I think I am the way that I am right now, right? And that is kind of where I'm going to dive into this one here. I think I am the way that I am right now because of the circumstances. Obviously, it's the same for everyone. But I guess what I'm saying here is I'm going to share with you my circumstances growing up and why it puts me in a position where I view these things much differently than most people are here in the US. Because I've spoken about these things with hundreds of people at this point in time, and people seem to think that it is normal what is happening to them right now. I'll ask you guys this. When people revolt in a country, how do you think that people knew that it was time to say, yo, this is enough? We're all going to go out there and we're going to revolt. We don't want any more of this oppression that you're hitting us with. I'm not saying that we should go revolt. That is not a battle we can lose. We have to be intelligent with how we approach these things, right? It's not about violence. It's about the significance, what that symbolizes when people take that sort of action, right? But I think that everyone as a society needs to really slow down, pump the brakes, and really ask themselves, is this what I want for myself? Is this what I want for my future? Okay. We are currently in a time where, you know, the economy, the numbers of this economy mathematically cannot work out. When you look at the amount of debt that the US has, right? It's unreasonable. If you look at Social Security, essentially, they already told us it's bankrupt. Yet, that is still being taken from, everyone's paychecks and things like that. I think these are things that people don't slow down and ask themselves, hey, why is it this way? And how can we improve it? I mean, I would imagine that people have stopped watching Kardashians by now. Cable TV is dead. There should be something else that you can go direct your attention to, like your freedom, like your money, like your wealth, like your financial future, safety, where to stay. Americans must pay more attention to their political environment. This stuff is insane. We are at this point where they make it seem like you either have to be right or left. We can never get together. This is what gaslighting is. I've never met anyone on the street that is going to fight me because, if I went and I was like, yeah, well, I'll vote for Trump. I haven't met another person yet that will fight me because of that. I only see it on the news. So there's a disconnection somewhere. And it does not make sense. Treasury yields inch higher ahead of Fed meeting. Okay. Bitcoin price at 42K. This is why I brought this one up here. There's a bunch of people in this country who have spent exorbitant amounts of money in the name of higher education, MIT, Harvard, call it what you want. And they walk around with their neck in the sky because of a six-figure piece of paper. And then they come out and they get everything wrong for the rest of their lives about the economy. It's not any shade at these people, okay? It is just the simple fact that it seems to me that these people do not understand the possibilities that exist when your whole life is not shaped towards, when everything in your life is not geared towards having to pay off this massive loan that is never ending. Okay? When you do not have this sort of loans, some of the things you can do is choose not to listen to what the Fed has to say. Leave and go somewhere else. But when you're tied down to this thing, you have to work your whole life. It seems to me almost that it is entrapment to keep the people here and continuously working, because otherwise, if another country is developing way faster and providing some more attractive benefits to people, then there is going to be flight of how would you say, workforce flight? Is that what we want to call it? So this is one of the other things with these articles. I mean, we see these articles every day. It's almost like there is nothing new. As a society, we're sitting around and waiting for the Fed's meeting, and the Fed's meeting, and there's another Fed meeting and a Fed meeting. What is the purpose of this thing? Because I think what we're trying to solve here is this economic crisis. And if you really want to look at it, you have to roll back even to 2008, which was not resolved. The government printed a bunch of money and bailed out the banks. If you're going to solve these things, you must go to the root of the problem. The Fed can raise and lower and whatever. All of these things is garbage. It does not work mathematically. When they raise the rates or they lower the rates, there's only two things that will happen, and we know what that is. So what else? And it's not going to fix the economy. So I question myself most days when I wake up and I see these things. What are we doing? It does not freaking matter. What matters is that we need to fix the money for ourselves and for the future generations. This is something that Bitcoin is providing. I do not understand why it cannot be something that can be seriously looked at by everyone. I do not understand why the Feds and all this, well, not the Fed, but our own governing entities cannot take a serious look at it. And let's all get on C-SPAN and have a serious conversation about it, or on Twitter, or whatever they call it now, X. My whole point of this video, ladies and gentlemen, is that we all need to really slow down and ask ourselves what the heck is going on here. Who are these people and what is this thing? Okay, because I think for the average everyday person, we just want to be able to live our lives in peace, make money, and preserve our value. Do the most we can for our family and build wealth. I'll leave it there. I'll read some comments and I'm going to head out, because I think, listen, we can come up here next week. We can come up here next month, right? It's going to be the same sort of articles. The Fed, we're waiting on the Fed. We're waiting on the Fed. Guy, you got a whole degree so you can come and wait on Fed to raise and lower. You got whole life is Fed and lower, the Fed lowering and raising. Come on. There is more to life than this. There is great things out there. There's very innovative people out there. And I'm pretty sure there is a solution to the money problem. So this thing we're doing here is a sticky situation and is wasting our lives. Anyway, let me get off my soapbox. Bitcoin Shango says people need to fail. Listen, man, this show today is really me and Bitcoin Shango. Thank you, Champagne. Listen, people need to be allowed to fail. Yes, you need to be able to fail in order to grow. This is what they call progressive overload. Back in the days when I was doing powerlifting, not many people know this about me yet, but actually, if you go on my Instagram, you see it. I did powerlifting back in the day. There is this concept called progressive overload, where you push your body to a certain point, and it is going to reach or approach that failure point. That is a failure point. And then now you need to pull back and reset. You learn from that, right? You adjust, and then you come back at it again with lower fatigue, and then you now break past that point. Which, as I describe it to you right now, it sounds like I'm doing technical analysis, but I'm actually talking about fitness. There is some natural laws of life that, you might want to ignore it as much as you want to, but the fact of the matter is you just cannot ignore it. This is just the way things are. Okay. So Bitcoin Shango says the amazing thing, absolutely, bro. The amazing thing is how quickly people started crying. We've already seen that one. My apologies. It says being protected from life isn't freedom. As you mentioned, it's more like censorship. People need to face the consequences of their actions, good or bad. Bitcoin forces people to be accountable. That is true, right? Don't lose your money. These are my thoughts, people. I wouldn't force expect anyone else to agree with me. If people want to be mollycoddled, mollycoddled. But for those who choose to be adults, we should be allowed to as well, which is actually another thing which I'm going to roll back to this other article here and talk about. When we talk about as adults being allowed to do what we want to do, there is this concept, oh, this is a reality right now, that we cannot buy some cryptocurrencies on various exchanges because you're in the US. What you're telling me is that I have worked for my money. I have paid taxes on this money. The money belongs to me. And I have the freedom, land of the free, right? I have the freedom to do whatever the heck I want to do with my money. Why can I not buy something? Um, Even if it's risky to the moon, it is my choice. You guys will let people go to Vegas and gamble their whole life savings in a casino. But you're telling me that I cannot buy a crypto project that I've seen because I think it's innovative? This is what I mean by we need to slow down and think about these things, okay? Because the freedoms are being taken from us. I'm over time. Let me go ahead and wrap this up here. All right, we'll just read one more and we'll call it. So I call it the brain drain. When the smart, competent people just get fed up and leave. I'm only still in the US because of my co-parents' refusal to leave, and I hate being away from my kids. This is true. This is true. There's situations like that too. There's situations like that too. And man, I think all we can do is continue to put the message out there. Because the reality of the matter is, okay, I also do not like the idea of running away. Because when you're running away, you're sending this message that maybe you're doing something wrong, or maybe that you're scared. Okay, we don't have to run away for anything because no one is doing anything illegal as far as I know. It's all new technology, and a bunch of people decided that, hey, we're going to make regulations around it, but we're not going to make the regulations yet. We're just going to keep enforcing this thing that does not exist, wrecking all of you, while our squad gets in. I mean, if you see all the Bitcoin ETFs now, right? They're configuring themselves. We've been saying these things. Everyone in the crypto space has been saying this thing. It's not a dream. We see it happening right before our face right now. So that's why I also say, at some point, when do people realize that you have to say, hey, enough is enough? As a community, we say, hey, stop. It's our way, or, we're going to have to talk about this in a different way. So it's, yeah, I don't think that it's reasonable that you cannot move because your family is here and everything like that. But, and that's why it's important for us to be able to stand up and be like, look, this is not what we are paying our taxes for, so that you can come and wreck our future opportunities, and for us to have a conversation about it. Well, I'll go no further than that, ladies and gentlemen. I have to go to McDonald's. That's where I work. All right. So I'm going to close this one out here. I hope everyone has a spectacular Monday. I hope you guys found this at the very least entertaining. Okay. Happy Monday. Drink water, eat your vegetables, all that type of good stuff. Until next time, raise it out.